Right, so England 1, France 2, quarterfinals, and we're out. And look, do you know what, man? I think the first thing that there is to say is that there's a lot of chat about Gareth Southgate right now. And if we're talking about his overall career for England, and we will talk about that, there's a point to be made or a case to be made that, perhaps we're flat track bullies and we beat the teams that we're expected to beat, don't do anything against the teams where actually it would be a good result or an unexpected win or whatever you want to call it. But let's talk about today first. Southgate got it bang on, in my view. Like, England played well. They gave France a real game. Um, England absolutely were not helped by the referee. The fact that we had two penalties, it should have been three. Kane should have had a penalty in the first half as well. The amount of fouls that especially Bukayo Saka didn't get that he should have got was crazy. Um, there were fouls on French players where you think to yourself, what's the difference there compared to the fouls that Saka has taken and just didn't get anything? I don't know what this ref had against Saka. And I know you might say that, well, the referee gave the penalty for the foul on Saka, but that was one of many. He took a kicking in this game and should have got a lot more of the decisions. But Southgate, he tactically, I thought, got it fairly good. Kylian Mbappe, who was torn this tournament up, was ineffective largely against England, and Saka outperformed him. So, that in itself is an achievement, and that was set up by Southgate, putting Kyle Walker obviously in the right places against Mbappe, not giving Walker that license to go and do everything and kind of saying to Saka, you're going to have to do that yourself. The really good thing about that was on that right-hand side, you saw on different occasions, typically Henderson, but when Henderson wasn't in that position to do it, it was Bellingham or even Declan Rice kind of doubling up if Walker did get forward, or just helping Walker out if Mbappe cut inside with that sort of explosiveness that he does. But as the game wore on, Mbappe became less and less and less of a threat. It was actually Griezmann that was more of a threat, and as evidenced by the fact that he put the ball in for Giroud's winner, which as well, look, a lot of this game is fine margins, a lot of this game is luck, because that header by Giroud, I think if you watch that replay closely, it comes off Maguire, to be honest with you. And this isn't me trying to slate Maguire. Perhaps he could have done better positionally in that moment, but it's very, very bad luck for the ball to come off Giroud's head onto Maguire and then fly into the net. It happened so quickly, I doubt Giroud actually knows until he goes back and sees the replay that didn't go straight off of his head and straight into the net. I'd be interested to see whether that was going in after it left Giroud's head, or whether that deflection from Maguire was enough to change the whole direction of the ball and make it going from the ball going wide to obviously a goal. So that's the first bit of luck. And then the second bit of luck, or bad luck for England, is Kane's penalty miss. And now, look, here's the interesting conversation. And we saw this in kind of the same way in the quarterfinal between Argentina and Netherlands, where Messi took a penalty during the game, and then a penalty shootout, he takes another penalty. Now, I think it was Mauricio Pochettino talking about Harry Kane recently, and he was basically saying that when Harry Kane plays a game of football, he knows before that whistle has even gone, before the game has even started, he probably knows the night before, but certainly before the game has started, if I get a penalty, where am I going to put that penalty today? Harry Kane is not one of those players that thinks, oh, this is what the keeper's done in previous penalties, or this is which way the wind's going, or I'm deciding as I walk up, or as I'm picking the ball up. No, Harry Kane knows exactly what he's going to do with his penalty. So that's Harry Kane thinking about, if I get a penalty in the game, what am I going to do? The dynamic when you get a second penalty is completely different. Even, I think it was Pochettino, as I said, he didn't talk about whether Harry Kane thinks about two penalties. He only talked about if he gets one penalty. And Harry Kane, honestly, I think that moment kind of, maybe he overthought things a little bit and it got into his head a little bit too much. Because the first one, you can tell he knew exactly what he was going to do. He went to the keeper's right, so to his left, and absolutely buried it. Really good penalty. That second one, honestly, the fact that it was his second penalty, the fact that it was his club teammate, I think all of that, Harry Kane didn't have that clarity that we know that he has for his first penalty, because we've heard We've heard that intel about him and how he chooses which way he's going and how he does it before the game. Now, with all of that in mind, I'm not saying that Harry Kane shouldn't have taken the penalty, because you can imagine, let's consider they sent someone else to go and take that penalty, Phil Foden or whoever else, and that person missed. Harry Kane would have been getting pelters. Everyone would have been saying, Harry Kane, you're the person we rely on. You're the person that should be taking these penalties. You know, the fact that you didn't feel comfortable to take another one is not good enough. What if you had a penalty to take in a penalty shootout? Would you not feel comfortable then? He would have got slated. Harry Kane has to do that. Also, you have to bear in mind that if Harry Kane did say, look, no, I don't want to take the penalty because of having to overthink things or whatever, and he gives it to someone else, that decision then needs to be made on the pitch. Because if that decision had already been taken, it wouldn't even be a thing. You know, that person would have naturally known, I'm taking this penalty. But Harry Kane would have had to go and speak to someone. That shows a massive lack of confidence and puts a huge amount of pressure on whichever player he walks up to and says, look, you need to take this penalty, catching them by surprise. They might not have even considered, what am I doing with the penalty? Because they would have thought, obviously, Harry Kane's going to be taking it. So there's so much to think about just in that moment of that second penalty. But I'm not, even as an Arsenal fan, I'm not going to blame Harry Kane for taking that penalty. I think it was the right thing to do. The finish, on the other hand, awful. Awful, awful penalty. But I think that's happened as a result of everything that we've just spoken about there. How much he would have had to overthink it. And honestly, I think to myself that he thought, shall I go left? Shall I go right? Shall I go in the middle? And in the end, he just thought, you know, I'm just going to smash it. I'm just absolutely going to smash it. And is going to be hard for the keeper to save. And in smashing it, that's taken all the accuracy out of it. It's a shame because he's actually a brilliant penalty taker and he puts power and accuracy into his penalties. Usually on this occasion, he sacrificed the accuracy for power and he flopped. Let's get away from the bad stuff. Let's get away from the penalty misses and everything. Bukayo Saka. Absolutely brilliant performance. All the talk about Mbappe, the best player on that pitch was Bukayo Saka for me. He got so many fouls against him and most of them weren't even given. But he kept on doing it, won an important penalty for England. I just thought he was brilliant. And I cannot understand for the life of me why Southgate took Saka off. I do not understand it. Unless Saka's injured, and I really hope that's not the case, I do not understand it. He was a menace. He was an absolute menace to that French team. It should have just been a simple Rashford for Henderson, or perhaps a Grealish for Henderson. That should have been the change. Simple as that. But still, Gareth Southgate, that's what he's got to answer for. And now let's talk about Southgate. Let's talk about England's record at previous World Cups. Let's go back to the World Cup 2018. Tunisia, Panama wins. Belgium in the group stage, we lose. Then we beat Colombia and Sweden, and then we lose to Croatia. Now, looking at that, we've beaten the teams that we should beat, and the teams that are difficult, Belgium, who were good back then, and Croatia, we failed to win. Then Euro 2020, Croatia we beat. Scotland, we draw. Czech Republic, we win. Then Germany, Ukraine, Denmark, we win. Italy, we lose. And I just think to myself, look, again, we're beating a lot of the teams that we should beat. Perhaps you could say Croatia in the group stage, good win. Germany, okay win. But Italy, that's it. We don't get over the line. Unlucky on penalties. Probably the closest England have ever come. And to be fair, that record in Euro 2020, you can't criticise that too much. Now this World Cup, beat Iran, draw to USA, beat Wales, beat Senegal. First proper test, France, we lose. We don't get over the line. England are flat track bullies. That's all it is. Back in the day, we used to be a team that wouldn't even be a flat track bully. So it's improvement for sure that Southgate has brought to this England team, but it's not good enough, man. But look, Southgate is contracted to lead us in Euro 2024. I personally, if I was at the FA, I wouldn't be getting rid of Gareth Southgate. I'd be saying, okay, have your last opportunity. He's been the best England manager that I can remember in my generation. So I would personally stick with him. Let me know in the comments below what you would do with Gareth Southgate. The thing is with him, he's not a fashionable manager. So I feel like a lot of people want someone with a bit more sort of like flair and reputation. But I think, look, he's done a slightly above average job for England, and previous managers, when we've gone for the Sven-Göran Erikssons or the Fabio Capellos, they've been awful. So I'm happy to sit with Southgate. Let me know your comments below, and a word for Jude Bellingham, who I think, along with Saka, has been the absolute star of this World Cup for England. And now we have, it's painful in a World Cup when you have to go a few days without football, but now that's what we're faced with. But we've got some mouth-watering semi-final ties because the quarterfinals were unbelievable. They gave everything. And in a way, I wish that this one against England and France had gone to extra time and penalties just for the drama. But now we've got Argentina versus, I'm going blank, Croatia, and we've got Morocco versus France. The fact that Morocco are there repping Palestine as well, I absolutely love it. But what an unbelievable achievement. I would love it if they beat France. And on the other side, look, I want Messi to get to the final and do his thing. Now that Mbappe is through as well, surely the golden boot has got to be his. You know, I'm sure he'll score at least one goal in the semi-final and then either the final or the third place playoff. I'm sure he'll add an assist or a goal. He's on 5 goals, 2 assists. Messi's on 4 goals, 2 assists. So he's got to be confident about winning that. And the golden ball is definitely between those two for the rest of the tournament. But Argentina against Morocco is the final that I want, but clearly I think is going to be Argentina-France. And I personally think France will win. So let me know your prediction for the final and who you think is going to lift the trophy. And also let me know what you think England should do with Gareth Southgate in the comments below. Saka and Bellingham, the stars of the World Cup for England. Any other honourable mentions, put it in the comments below. I'll see you probably after the final, unless Morocco beat France, in which case I might just have to come and react to that. Take care, head up. And also, the final thing, the good thing about Kane missing the penalty and it not being a Rashford or a Saka or a Sancho is that there'll be no racial abuse as a result of it. And I don't mean to say that in a way to antagonize. I mean to say that so people can think about how crazy it is, the difference in reactions when a white player versus a black player misses a penalty. And it's an opportunity to think about the fact that we need to do so much better as a country in which when England lose, domestic violence goes up. So today, women are going to be beaten up by their husbands because they've all had too much to drink and they can't emotionally process the pain of their country getting knocked out of a World Cup. These are two things about this country and about England getting knocked out of tournaments that baffle me to this day. I cannot believe it leads people to violence against women and racial abuse. England, the media, the fans, the pundits, etc., have done a lot of finger pointing to other countries in this World Cup of human rights. And it's times like this when our flaws and our faults come out, and it's potentially a time to just think about that and realize that we've got a lot of work to do domestically within our own country in England to seriously improve a lot of our own faults. Anyway, that's my final thought. Until next time, see you later.